Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
I'm Lindsey Deluce.
And I'm Kelsey McEwen.
Welcome to CTV Your Morning, the podcast.
Today on the podcast, we are talking sports. We're going to chat about what's next for the Blue Jays. Can you believe it's only 3 months until spring training? Awesome. We are also going to speak with Jordin Tootoo about his new documentary detailing his life on and off the ice. And Rick Westhead joins us with an in-depth look at hockey culture with his new book, We Breed Lions.
And remember to start your day with us live weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV CTV News Channel, or take us with you on your CTV News app. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I am excited about this all-sports edition of the podcast.
Absolutely. Today's podcast is very inside baseball, pun intended, of course. We are talking about the Jays, obviously. We also have Toronto Scepters defender Savannah Harmon. She is getting ready for the PWHL's third season, which kicks off next week.
Rick Westhead also joins us about his new book, We Breed Lions, about confronting Canada's troubled hockey culture. It's an important read, and it examines hockey off ice from minor hockey all the way to the NHL.
First, it's been almost 2 weeks, but I don't know. Maybe I'm alone saying this, but I feel like it's still sensitive. Are we all feeling
alone.
it? We're looking ahead to what's next for the Toronto Blue Jays after the tearjerker of a World Series finale.
It's like the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, but just got these guys to lean on. That's kind of been our thing all year. You know, when things don't go our way, we lean on each other.
I feel for the guys. You know what I mean? This is a special group of guys. That being said, I am so proud of them, of the entire organization, really. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. We've set a new expectation and a new standard here.
The Jays have a lot to think about in the coming days. For more on where the team goes from here, we're joined by Rich Griffin. He's a baseball analyst and co-host of the Exit Philosophy podcast. Welcome to your morning.
Good morning.
The Jays are coming off their best season since 1993. Is that part of what hurts in this loss?
Yeah, it hurts, but it's also encouraging for the Blue Jays and for baseball in Canada. I remember in '93 coming off the 2 back-to-back World Series, how the game took off among youngsters across the country. And you can see the same result happening because of this run to the World Series that the Blue Jays had. I mean, this was such a likable team. I was in their clubhouse every home game, and you could just see the tightness, the bond, but you didn't know it was going to go this far to Game 7 of a World Series that they really could have and should have won. But like I said, the repercussions across the country are going to be felt for years to come. So we'll see where it goes from here. But one thing is certain is that they're going to be more of a real choice for top free agents across Major League Baseball.
Yeah, you just touched on it there, Rich. Part of the love for this team from coast to coast to coast was their love for each other. Every analyst, every fan we spoke to, the players' families, the Jays themselves, all spoke about how special that once-in-a-career lifetime that was. How important was the camaraderie this season, and how do they build on that for next year?
Well, you could see it in the face of Ernie Clement in the clip that you played, how close it was. And a lot of these players who now have an option of going somewhere else know what it's like in that clubhouse, know the talent that's available there. And I think that it began with the Montreal Expos, the first team outside of the USA to play in Major League Baseball, and it continued with the Blue Jays, where they feel like they have to go that extra mile or that extra kilometer to please the families, to show them that it's a viable place to play. And that carried over into the clubhouse, where the talent finally gelled and they got that feeling of camaraderie and oneness to the World Series, and it should continue on into the future.
I think also what was so nice to see is that didn't just spark when they started doing well. They had that camaraderie right from the beginning, and in fact, that's the through line all the way up until what we saw in Game 7. You know, you look at this group of men, this band of brothers, and you think, how different could next season's lineup look from this year's?
Well, it could, but there was also a huge difference. If people look back at the 92 and 93 Blue Jays, there were a lot of changes made to 1993's championship For instance, Paul Molitor was brought in. A lot of guys were dropped from the 92 team, and they managed to continue because of, as you point out, the thread that had been established before.
The Jays are going to open next season against the Athletics at home in March. Man, 4 months away. What would it realistically take for the Jays to get back into this position?
Well, I think they need to make sure that their starting rotation and their bullpen are reinforced. We saw the weakness down the stretch in the bullpen, and Jeff Hoffman had done such a good job through the playoffs, but there was this lingering feeling that he was going to have struggle in one game, and that game just happened to be Game 7 with a chance to close it down and to win the World Series. So I think pitching is a priority. You look around the infield and the position players, and you have a returning roster that could be comparable or even better than this year's team. But the pitching staff, especially the rotation and the leadership of those veterans that you pointed out that are going to be free agents, that was undervalued in terms of the fans looking at this team. And they're going to have to replace that or return that to this clubhouse. I just feel, like I said earlier, that this is a boon for baseball, the sport across Canada. And we've seen that. We've seen that in the response to this team. And I think it's going to show up in registration of young 12 to 15-year-olds in baseball. It happened in '93. It's going to happen again now. And I think just like Vince Carter and basketball hoops at the end of every driveway, when he was in his prime, I think this is going to be a boon for baseball in Canada.
Rich Griffin, baseball analyst and co-host of the Exit Philosophy podcast. Thanks for coming on this morning. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Oh, man, I hope so. I'm the proud mom of a baseball player. Both my boys have played ball through the years competitively, and we've seen the sport grow, but it will be so exciting to see come next summer, especially, I think, for kids just getting into the sport. House leagues right across the country. I can't wait to see the registration numbers, because I think he's right. I think kids will get into the sport because it is so fun, and there's a great culture around it.
I will say, even, I would say the days after we lost the World Series, just driving by the parks in Toronto, people out with their gloves, playing out on the street. It's been so fun to watch. And it's one of my favorite sports to play. Always has been.
Agreed.
I know we were talking about 12-year-olds, but one of the things that Daryl was saying when, after Game 7, he's like, you know what I'm going to miss? I felt like I was 12 years old again.
Yeah.
Watching guys I love that felt like heroes. As you get older, you get a little bit jaded. But all of these players and all this team, they loved one another on the field, off the field, even their families. It's been really fun to go through the accounts of the wives saying, we've never experienced a team like this, where we can bring our kids all together, where we all get together. And you felt that. And you've heard the players say that in the days to come, the sadness that was in the clubhouse afterwards, everybody crying, because they all knew it was never going to be this exact group of men again.
I know, and as a fan, that's the worry or fear going into next season, is this year was so special. We obviously want to see a repeat of how the season went. We'd love to see them in the World Series again and finally get to take it home. But it was really fun to watch, especially as a sport mom, being able to show my kids a group of players who cheered harder for each other than they did for themselves. A lot of time you watch professional athletes, and you need two things to be really good. You need a lot of ego, and you do need humility, but sometimes the ego is a lot bigger than the humility. And it felt like this team found that balance, because there were stars on this team, but they also knew how to lift each other up. And you don't always get to see that, especially I think in baseball. I watch baseball more than other sports, so I only can talk to that. But especially in baseball, there are some really big egos that walk through the dugout. And this time, it just felt different. So that was really fun to watch. That's what I missed the most. I don't miss the lack of sleep, because I was exhausted.
I feel like we're still catching up.
Baseball
I can't catch
hangover.
up. Baseball hangover.
Honestly.
I know, but I'd do it all over again.
Oh, yeah. Even knowing the outcome?
You know what? I would do it all over again, because that's the excitement of sport, right? It's that the build-up, the suspense, all of that. So invested in all of that.
And I think we might have a chance. And I'm not a sports analyst, so I'm going to say this with a big...
You're not?
No, shockingly. But, you hear people who know sports talk about the value of a star taking a hometown discount. And we've seen this with other teams. And now we've seen Bieber do that for the Jays. There was so much speculation that this guy would come off this tiny little season he had with the Jays, and he would be out on the free market, and he would get gobbled up by all these teams who would throw all this money at him. And I mean, he got a lot of money from Toronto, but in relatively speaking, from what he could have, he chose to stay here. And I think that speaks to this city, this speaks to this team, it speaks to the heart, and it says a big old thank you to the fans, and I'm here for that. And even that, if that's not what happened, I'm going to take it like that, because I like that. But I'm really, really excited as we look towards baseball season 2026.
Ooh.
Jordin Tootoo was the first Inuk hockey player drafted by the NHL, racking up 161 points, including 65 goals over the course of his career. Well, now he's sharing his story in the film Tootoo, the Jordin Tootoo story.
The Inuit forward from Rankin Inlet has made it to the NHL.
And it was electric.
This former NHL player is shedding light on past mental health struggles and how he's moved forward in a new documentary. Jordin is in our studio this morning, all the way from Kelowna, BC. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with your hockey career. You played for Nashville, Detroit, New Jersey, and Chicago. You were considered a trailblazer because of your Inuk heritage, but you were also known, I mean, really well known for your fights on the ice. We saw some of those. But you say those two things played into one another. How so?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with a lot of chaos and whatnot, and having an older brother who was pretty rough with me and all his buddies. So it was just instilled in me ever since I was a young boy to grind and be mentally strong. And you know what? Growing up in the Arctic, you inadvertently become mentally strong. So I give credit to you know, growing up in Nunavut and the way the style that I played really came through, and the fans loved it. Yes, hit first and knock them down before they get to you.
The doc starts with you talking about your childhood. We were just showing some of the pictures there, and your parents' struggles with alcoholism. And over the years, you've written books about this. You've really explored your relationship, their relationship. In particular, your father's story. What's your relationship like with them right now? You know
what? Throughout this whole process, filming and writing my books, we've became a lot closer. Our relationship today is better than it's ever been. And I commend my mom and dad for finding the courage to speak the truth and really have that communication on a cordial level. So, you know, I am grateful that we are where we are today, you know, although a lot of hardships, but I chose to learn from them and stop one cycle and start a new cycle.
Well, I was going to say, they actually, you know, there was a lot of pain, and you write about that, but growing up in that household, but when they model for you change, I guess that is something that you've been able to follow. Yes,
absolutely. You know, I love my parents dearly and our people, and for me, it's about leading the way by example. You know, we can all talk the talk, but who's willing to, you know, walk the walk? So, and you know, I use the word choose a lot, and you know, we all have history. We all fight a fight no one knows about, and for me to be able to express and show my story, hopefully I can inspire someone to change their lives. While you were working through your relationship with your parents, you lost somebody very close to you, and you mentioned him already. This is your older brother, Terrence. He was your role model, he was your protector, he was your guide, and he died by suicide in 2002. And then a year later, you get called up to the NHL. So you're away from home, you're away from family, you've got the loss of your brother. How did all of that show up in your life, on and off the ice? Community. You know, growing up in a small town, we're very tight-knit, and, you know, we've, in our communities, we all know suicide is prevalent, substance abuse. The history of our people has been well documented, and, you know, for me, like I said, we all fight a fight no one knows about, and I'm so grateful that when I entered rehab back in 2010, my main goal was to keep my brother's legacy on, because he's the one that paved the way for me.
I want to talk about your success on the ice, but in the off time, you are battling alcoholism, substance abuse, mental health struggles. What was it like living that double life?
It was tricky. You know, for a lot of men, we tend to want a bottle and push down those hard times. And, you know, I think having the game of hockey really helped me throughout my struggles. You know, obviously, being an angry young man, hockey was an outlet for me. At the same time, you know, being that young and moving to the States, it was a bit of
You
a
were
culture.
a long way from home.
It was a bit of a culture shock, and but you know, the hockey community is small, and you know, I give a lot of credit to you know, my coach, Mr. Barry Trotz, and Mr. David Poyle for caring about Jordin Tootoo, the person, and not just a hockey player.
Okay, can we talk about Jordin Tootoo, the girl dad, now? One of the beautiful things of your story is this family legacy, your parents, yourself, and now your daughters. You have 3 of them. You've brought them up to Nunavut. You go out on the land. You keep those traditions alive. Is this you with them there?
Yes, it is.
This is fantastic. What does sharing that with your girls and this version of you do for you?
Yeah, the land to me is a healing part of my life. You know, my wife Jennifer and I are so grateful to have 3 beautiful daughters who are active in the outdoors. You know, both of us have really instilled the wilderness in our healing process together, and my girls are just so outgoing and charismatic. You know, Sienna, Avery, and Riley have been a joy, and for me to be able to watch them grow daily has been my personal greatest accomplishment.
Amazing. Have they seen the footage of their dad on the ice yet?
They're starting to get at an age where they're starting to realize what Daddy did, and my oldest one, Sienna, she plays hockey, and I think she's got a little Tootoo blood in her.
Nice. All right, I can't wait to see what that looks like. Jordin Tootoo, a real pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Encourage you to go see the documentary. It is out now on Super Channel.
The Office Movers is back for season 2.
I don't know why you're treating me like the worst moving company in the region. You should see what these other guys are doing out there.
Brothers Eric and Everett in the show navigate the hilarious highs and lows of running their GTA moving company, competing with a big corporation intent on stealing their business. Joining us this morning to talk about the new season are Jay and Trey Richards, co-creators and stars of The Office Movers. Great to have you guys back.
Come on, man.
Thanks for having us.
It's always great to be here.
We love the show. You guys joined us last year to talk Office Movers.
Yeah.
For those who haven't watched it, the show is partially based on your experiences working for your dad's company while growing up in Brampton.
Yeah.
What kind of response have you had from family and friends who know you, who knew what life was like working for your dad, who are now watching the show?
Yeah, all those people work for my dad too, against their will as well. Yeah, my dad like spread through the community, had us hiring our friends, our enemies. So yeah, they could all relate, definitely.
What do they say?
They just can't believe it's actually on screen. It feels like to them just such a random niche to focus on. It's just such a random odd job, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, movers love it. They know that we feel their pain. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to our movers. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's just fun. I feel like, you know, when people watch the show, they see someone that they know and they're just like, wait, hold on. I know that story, or I know who you guys are talking about. And I always kind of love an Easter egg. So, yeah.
That's awesome. It must be so weird. Do you ever have moments where you stop and think, wait, like 10 years ago, I couldn't believe that this was what we were going to be doing today?
Oh,
yeah, because 10 years ago, we're like doing our YouTube videos, but my dad would like make us work. So like now it's 10 years later and we're still doing the same thing. Like I have moments of like feeling like I'm at work 10 years ago. Yeah. And we even like casted someone that looks exactly like our dad on the show. So at times I'm like, Dad?
This is weird. It's like, what is that called? When it's like a split reality? It's almost like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I got 2 dads. Yeah,
That's
my
awesome.
TV dad and my real dad. I don't know who's who anymore. So.
That's amazing. This season, you guys have a Christmas special.
Yes.
Can you give me any preview of what the holiday episode will be like?
Holiday cheer, holiday fun.
Yeah, with the Office Movers twist.
Amazing.
It's gonna be fun.
Your company in the show, Shazam, is always going into competition with this gigantic corporation. So having worked with your dad for so many years, how does that reflect what small businesses actually deal with on a regular basis?
Oh, it's all real, man. He's faced it. He's fought. Today he's good. Today he's good. But he had another company that just wasn't doing so good. There's a lot of other more official, squeaky clean companies that were just constant competition.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard, but we found funny in it.
Do you think that's why people relate to the show and love it so much? Because there's so many entrepreneurs, so many small businesses right across the country that they look at it and they see themselves?
Yeah, I think it's just very relatable, and you watch it and you see someone you know, or you may see a family friend, or like, they went through the same things, same stories, and it's all a grind, but there's a silver lining in everything, and there's always comedy in that, and I feel like that's what we always kind of paid attention to, so whatever situation is, just you find a silver lining and you find a reason to laugh, so at least we do them. Exactly, we always do, man.
Jay and Trey Richards, creators of The Office Movies, great to have you back. Please come back anytime and keep creating.
Oh man, whenever,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
By the way, you can catch all 6 episodes on Crave.
You're listening to Your Morning, the podcast, where we bring you some of the best conversations from our show every week. You can join us live on CTV every weekday, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern and 7 to 10 a.m. Atlantic on CTV CTV News Channel, or take us with you on the CTV News app.
Pro women's hockey has seen record-breaking attendance numbers since the PWHL's first season in 2023. That is only going up with 2 more teams added to the league this year. Matt sat down with the Toronto Scepter's Savannah Harmon ahead of the team's home opener.
Savannah Harmon, thanks for being here. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Exciting times. It's a very big year. We have lots to cover here for the next little bit. But first of all, it is going to be your first full season with the Toronto Scepters. Tell me about your expectations and your excitement heading into this new hockey season.
I am very excited. Off season has felt very long.
Number 15, Savannah Harmon.
I want to go back to last year. I think a bit of an emotional year, a little bit different, right? You're drafted into Ottawa a few years ago. You get traded from Ottawa to Toronto with Haley Skamura, which is, again, nice to have a familiar face. Take me through that experience, what it was like for you to, in professional sports, in professional hockey, going through a trade like that and being traded midseason.
Yeah, like you said, it's pro sport. Just was our first time experiencing it, but to have Scams with me was really, really fun. We were very grateful to be with each other the whole year, but it was crazy. We were in Toronto, supposed to be playing Toronto the next night, end up getting traded, and that's pro sport.
Here, Harmon shoots. They score.
All 4 of us suited up the next night, and Toronto's been nothing but welcoming. Super excited to play for this organization and excited to call Toronto home.
We've seen an explosion in the popularity of women's sports, in particular the PWHL. Viewership numbers have been through the roof, which is great for the first 2 seasons. Heading into season number 3, there's the expansion. But for you, how much, are you aware of that? How great is that for you, especially for a new league in this country?
It's so incredible. I mean, that is what we wanted with this league. We wanted visibility, wanted sustainability. We wanted a league where fans and young women can turn on their TV at night and look up to us and aspire to want to play in this league and grow up and want to be a pro women's hockey player. So I think, it's super exciting to see those numbers. It's really just, this league is incredible. You're going to get everyone's best every night. I think that's what's exciting about it being new and, being 8 teams, well, previously 6, but just you get every game, every point is just so important. So I think this league is awesome.
It's a huge year for women's hockey too, right? A lot of the schedules we were just talking beforehand about the lead up to Olympic years and what that's going to mean. Now, you're American, Team USA. I don't want to take anything away from our Canadian viewers, so they might be cheering against you at some point this year. You won silver back in 2022. Take me through your prep as you get ready for an Olympic year, and then what happens as we get closer and closer to February, and still trying to focus now on your own team, on the Scepters.
Honestly, this year has been interesting so far. So for Team USA, we are a group of 30 right now, and then that 30 will have to get down to 23 in the new year. But until then, everyone's working, everyone's trying to earn their spot. Really, we're itching to get back to the pro season, which is exciting. So we've had kind of a focus shift to both, but training of both, and I'm just excited to compete every night.
I want to talk to you just personally about your start in hockey, which I heard a great story, and I want to know if it's true.
Okay.
4 years old.
Yeah.
Hockey is full. You got signed up for figure skating. Can you tell me what you did when you showed up at your first day of figure skating?
How my mom has explained it to me was that she wanted to go sign me up for hockey after I begged for probably about a year. And then, because my brother played, he's 3 years older than me, so once he got into it, I had to get into it. She said hockey was full. She was signing me up for figure skating because she thought, like, women, I was a little girl, you can go figure skate. And that morning I was in my brother's gear and she could not get it off of me. She said she was like mortified when she dropped me off, that the figure skating coach was just like, we'll take her today, but like she cannot come back here. And then the hockey coach, I guess, and the kids skate on the other ice sheet, came over and told my mom that I was welcome to come join them.
Amazing.
So I got myself kicked out, but got into where I actually wanted to go. So it worked out.
It's worked out fairly well, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Talk about your mom's support, your brother's support too.
Yeah.
I know you lost your dad a number of years ago, but what has it meant to your family and your friends too, supporting you along your hockey journey?
Yeah, I mean, my family support has been nothing short of amazing. My dad coached me pretty much my whole life growing up. My mom and my brother are just the absolute best. My mom is probably at more games than she isn't at games, so she makes it work, and my brother definitely my #1 fan for sure.
Savannah Harmon of the Toronto Raptors, thanks so much for being here today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
We got her. Canada's first WNBA team has named their new head coach.
Tempo is about more than pace of play. It's a mindset. Bold, intelligent, and unrelenting. And no one embodies that mindset better than Sandy. Coach, welcome to the Tempo. The mic is yours.
The legendary Sandy Brondello will be taking the lead as the Toronto Tempo's inaugural head coach. Brondello, has done it all. Medaling at the Olympics, the FIBA World Cup, and winning the WNBA championship title 2 times. Her next challenge will be to build a winning roster for the Toronto Tempo. Sandy Brondello is joining us in studio. Welcome to Toronto. Welcome to Canada. Great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be here. Very exciting.
Okay, the secret is out. How do you feel?
Overwhelmed, to be quite honest. It was a great day yesterday, being officially named as the new coach, and it's excited to get started.
I don't know if you've ever seen the musical Annie, but there's a scene where they get to adopt Annie, and they sing it. They do this big song and dance, and they're like, "We got Annie," and I feel like that about Sandy. We got Sandy. You've proven yourself a powerhouse coach. You've led both the New York Liberty and the Phoenix Mercury to championship titles. How are you planning to shape Toronto?
Yeah, look, obviously I'll lean into the experience that I had in both of those teams. And over the years, I've been doing this for quite some time. I think I have a pretty good reputation in this league here. Hopefully we can entice some really good players to, come and join us here in Tempo and to build something special.
You were being courted by a couple of other teams. In the end, what made you pick Toronto?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it was, initially it was a difficult one, but it became clearer the more I thought about it. But it's an expansion team. It's Canada's team. It's to do something from the ground up. That really excited me. I haven't done that before, and it's a new challenge. And the people. I think the people, the community. It's been fun. I'm ready to go.
You also mentioned that it's similar to Australia in a way. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, hey, we're both in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
I think Australian and Canadian people are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty easygoing, but we're very competitive and passionate about our sports. And I love that. And, I saw the Blue Jays and the reception and just the love that they got from this city, but the whole country. And that's what I'm excited to build here.
The new collective bargaining agreement between the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association, that's still all being worked out. How is that going to affect your ability to build Toronto Tempo?
Well, obviously the CBA just slows us down a little bit, but we can still do our preparation leading into what's the expansion draft may look like, and then, strategize around what the players that could be available. But with the new CBA, it means that there's so many more players that are free agents. So we've got a bigger pool of players to hopefully, we want to put the best team out there and continue to grow it. So we just got to get let's come and start something new in a really great city of Toronto.
Well, I think you were a big draw for that. And I think I think you're confident enough to say that you being the coach of this team is also going to pull some interest.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully I've got that reputation enough. Yeah, I've been around the league for a long time. The players know me. They know what I'm about, how I want to play. And,
you know how to make a winning team.
Yeah, I think I've done that for quite some time, and I'm a former player.
Yeah.
And then we've got the GM who is also a former player. I think that should hopefully interest players to know that we're going to really take care of them.
You've been with the WNBA for 3 decades as a player and as a coach. The Temple is the league's first international franchise. So what's it like to see this excitement growing for women's professional basketball?
Yeah, look, basketball is truly a global game. I get to coach my home nation, Australia, in the Olympics and the World Cup, and just to see the growth of the league over these last few years is just amazing. It's a real movement, and it's great. Like I say, this is Canada's team. Even though we're the Toronto Tempo, we're a Canada's team, and that excites me because now it's another opportunity to even get more eyes on our game, because it really, truly is an amazing sport.
We're coming up to the holidays. Who is on your wish list for players?
Oh, yeah, probably can't say that on this TV here, but...
I mean, you could.
Yeah, I could. I mean, there's so many great players out there, and I think, hopefully we can, entice them, just to come over and experience something new.
Without giving away any names, when you are talking to a player, and some of the big names, what is it that you will put in front of them to say, here's why you need to play for the Tempo?
Yeah, look.
What's the sell?
Yeah, what's the sell? I think I've already said that. It's like summer in Tempo, in Toronto. I've heard that's quite amazing. I haven't experienced it yet, but that's what everyone talks about here. It's on the water, very passionate fans, a great ownership group. I really do believe it starts at the top, and the engagement and the investment from there, and really good people that want to put them in positions that they're comfortable, not just off the court, but on the court, but continuing to make them better people and better players.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Sandy Brandella, welcome again to Canada, welcome to the Toronto Tempo, and welcome to Your Morning.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, Rick Westhead is a reporter who broke the story of Hockey Canada's secret slush fund used to pay a woman accusing Team Canada junior players of sexual assault. His coverage of the trial that eventually unfolded, where those players were ultimately acquitted of all charges, opened the floodgates for people wanting to share their own hockey experiences with Westhead. He's now weaving those stories and so much more into We Breed Lions, a new book exploring the toxic side of hockey culture in Canada. And Rick is in studio with us this morning. Welcome.
Hi, good morning.
So this book is not an easy read, and you have learned firsthand what happens when you take a critical look at the country's beloved sport. You even had a guy that would show up in this shirt at the trials with your name on it, calling you a piece of something that, we can't say this time of the morning. But you also had a Hall of Famer who made snide remarks about this book even before it was released, even before you had a chance to read it. So I want to be clear, you're not anti-hockey. Why did you write this book?
Well, I think we need to understand kind of how we got here. How did we get to a point where 11, almost a dozen, young men found themselves in a hotel room alone with a young woman? This is not the first case like this. It's not even the only recent case like this. Mm-hmm. This case in London got so much attention across the country, excuse me. But at the same time, we had 2 major junior players in Quebec that are now serving prison sentences for sexual assault. Another case where 3 players, Noah Corson, who's the son of an NHL star, and 2 of his teammates are now in jail, and multiple other allegations where players are having to defend allegations like this. So I really wanted to understand how we got here. What is it about hockey culture in our country that, maybe even though this is a sport where it's amazing and there's so many good people who are doing good things and volunteering to give back, is there something about this sport where as players advance into junior hockey, they're not encouraged to become the best versions of themselves?
Yeah, the book examines how we've gotten to this point, and you take a really hard look at what happens in the lower ranks of hockey, all the way up to the NHL and beyond. And what stood out to me was your chapter about minor hockey. You write about the corruption with parents paying off coaches and teams being bought, so to speak, and the disconnect between teaching players at that age to be respectful and then zero consequences when they aren't respectful. What's going on in minor hockey?
Great question. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I'd go into rinks in the Toronto area or, further outside the city and see preteens walking into a rink with 3 hockey sticks, which were worth over $400 a piece. So parents are throwing money hand over fist into hockey. It's become a rich person's sport, unfortunately. And with that, the expectations and the willingness that parents are going to go to help their kids try to be that 1 in a million player that actually makes it as a professional, they start making bad decisions. Like, I can't tell you the number of times I've seen as well, at minor hockey tournaments, even just as a coach, coaching my own son, and watching kids and watching the behavior and thinking, well, this is a sport where we celebrate, these guys coming into the rink as young men wearing suits because this shows that they respect the game of hockey. But look at how these preteens are sitting in a restaurant stuffing pepper and salt and paper menus and ketchup and crayons into their drink glasses while some poor young server is trying to serve them food. Is that, if you want to talk about respect, let's talk about how they respect themselves and others around them first before respecting hockey.
That example and the way that you have that in the book and that really, really stood out, had a big impact. We've seen the power of breaking the silence. Sheldon Kennedy, Theo Fleury, Kyle Beach, these men had the courage to speak out. And you spoke with current players who would share with you their stories, but then they would call you and say they don't want their name in print. What does that tell you about the culture of silence that still exists, about exposing the dark side of the sport?
Yeah, I actually, for this, I knew that the reflex from many people in hockey would be that this was an issue back in the 1990s when Sheldon Kennedy came out with this story, but things are better now. So I went out of my way to use Instagram to reach current, players who've just come out of junior. And I wound up interviewing 58 players in their 20s, most of whom were willing to, on the record, meaning use their name in the book, share their stories. But there were a few cases where players, after the fact, texted or called and said, actually, don't use my name. And at the time, Anne-Marie, I thought, well, this is a real weakness. Like, it's too bad I can't use these the same way. And then came to realize this is actually a strength because it does show just how afraid some people within the game are to actually speak about the game. Because as Stephen Brunt, a friend and journalist, writes in the foreword of this book, to talk about this, to critique hockey is to be anti-hockey. And to be anti-hockey is to be anti-Canadian.
You had a lot of players open up to you about another aspect of the sports that happens at all levels, and that is hazing. And you spoke with a psychologist about the so-called bonding it creates. That's the reason given for allowing it to happen in the first place. Here's what I'm curious about. How does nudity, violence, humiliation create a better hockey player?
I wish I had an answer for that. Some of the experts I've talked to about this who wanted to dig into the answer to that question, they believe that, it's this idea that there's a shared secret here. And we're still seeing this. I reported on a case in Ontario just last week of a U14 team where players were put on probation for 2 years and their coach was suspended for 6 months because of what was happening in their locker room. I don't know how we got here.
It's that piece. If you walked up to a parent on the street and said, as a teenager or younger, we're going to expose your son or daughter to X, Y, and Z, and whatever happens on the bus and in the back of the bus and in the bathroom and all of it, they would tell you absolutely not. But it happens, and their kids are enrolled in it, and the coaches and managers at the front of the bus know what's happening. Why not stop it?
Yeah, good question. One of the most troubling things about this, and I think this is documented pretty well in this reporting, there have been attempts through the years to understand why, right? And by experts to actually do studies.
Reports have been commissioned and submitted.
And then when these expert researchers have come back with their data and they've gone to the junior leagues and said, we want to show you what we found. We want to help you so that we can fix this. Mm-hmm. In many cases, these researchers say that league officials have said, we're not interested. Mm-hmm. And the way that the researchers have viewed that is that the leagues don't want to know what they don't know. Because if they don't know it, they don't have to address it and fix it.
Yeah. The fact that they would commission and pay for those studies and then shelve them is just another part of your book that's really fascinating.
Well, in fact, the one study that the league has paid for that I think is really telling. Yeah. About 10 years ago, a number of players filed a class action lawsuit against the junior leagues, saying that they were, hazed and abused during their time. And in 2019, a market research firm named Leger in Montreal was hired to look into this deeper. And they interviewed more than 600 players and coaches and parents, et cetera, all these people who had had a connection to the game within the previous 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that survey, again, of people in the game, of all the players they interviewed for that survey, they found almost 50% said they heard of stories of abuse and maltreatment that had never been reported by the media. So don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone who's not in the room's word for it. Mm-hmm. The players themselves are saying this is still an issue.
Rick Westhead, I want to thank you not only for being here today, but for what you take a look at in the book. It is called We Breed Lions. We're so glad that you joined us today.
For more great conversations, don't forget to download or hit subscribe to Your Morning, the podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
And of course, we'd love for you to watch us live weekdays on the TV, on CTV, CTV News Channel, or take us with you on your CTV News app. Start your morning with us.